Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy, Sports and Fitness Rants? I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, man. Got another great video for you guys today, as usual. You guys know the deal on this channel. It's all about setting the record straight, stopping the lies, stopping the narratives, stopping them from rewriting history. And in this video, I want to talk briefly about Joel Embiid, man. It's going to be a very brief video. But I don't believe this guy, man. Joel Embiid goes down again. This is Joel Embiid, man. This man is always hurt. And it's always some random injury. I've never even heard of half of the things that happened to this guy. This guy had Bell's palsy last postseason. He had an orbital fracture or something. And now, once again, something in the face. I don't remember exactly what it was. He got hit in the face. This man's always getting hit in the face. How the hell are you 7'2", but everyone's always hitting you in the face? I don't get this, man. These guys are soft, man. Joel Embiid is just fragile. His bones are weak. This guy needs to drink milk or something. Always down, and he goes down again, man. We're going to talk about this video because this is more the same for Joel Embiid. But this guy's an MVP winner of this era. That's why I tell you guys, this era is a joke, man. It's an absolute joke. And we're going to talk about this video. And I want to thank you guys, everyone across the world, everyone across the states has been supporting my channel. Once again, guys, I am truly humbled. Thank you for all the support, man. It really means a lot. Shout out to everybody in the membership. Anyone that's donated to my channel, guys, it really does mean a lot. So thank you very much. Real recognize real. The true fans are standing up, man. We must hold these guys to a standard, man, because this is getting out of control. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So, yes, guys, like I said, man, I wanted to talk about soft Joel Embiid, man. He's still soft. Joel Embiid is still soft, guys. It don't matter how much money this man gets. It doesn't matter how much, help he gets. It doesn't matter how much off-season work he does, how many doctors he goes to. None of this matters. None of it matters for Joel Embiid, all right? Because he's going to go out there and do nothing. He's going to go out there and be hurt. He's going to go out there and give you 50 games maybe. This is every season. This is why this guy was crying and moaning for an MVP award a couple of seasons ago. Because he knows he don't deserve it, so he has to beg for it. He has to cry for an MVP award. And this, once again, goes to this era being weak. It's a weak, frozen era. When you have guys like Joel Embiid winning MVPs, man, it's an absolute joke. There's really no all-time great big men, man. You have Nikola Jokic out here going against who? Joel Embiid, who's never out there, Bam Adebayo, Brook Lopez, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert. I'm not impressed. Jaren Jackson Jr., Isaiah Hartenstein, Ivica Zubac. These are the centers. These are the big men today. And there's no knock on these guys. Miles Turner. Listen to the names I just read off. Are you guys impressed by these guys? I'm not impressed at all, man. These solid players, but these are none of the great big men. I mean, come on. What are we talking about? Like I said, when I grew up watching the game, man, in the 80s and the 90s, we're not talking about big men. We're talking about the legends, man. We're talking about the great players. We're talking about the Moses Malones. We're talking about the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars. We're talking about the Robert Parishes. We're talking about the Hakeem Olajuwons, the Patrick Ewings, the Alonzo Mournings, the Shaquille O'Neals, the David Robinsons, the Dikembe Mutombos, the Ronnie Cycles, the Rick Smiths, the Mark Eatons. We're talking about all of these guys, man, that were in the NBA during those years. These are all-time great legends, a lot of these guys. Some of the great of the greats. These are the guys that were in the NBA. These are some of the centers, the big men that were in that era, that were banging down low, battling against each other. Not to mention some of the legendary power forwards and some of the other big men, the quote-unquote big men, that were in the era. Right? The Kevin McHale's and the Karl Malones. Right? The Rick Mahorns, the Bill Lane Beers. Right? Some of these guys that were around back in them days, man. The Charles Barkleys. Right? You remember these guys from back in them days. Guys like Larry Johnson and Anthony Mason. Right? You had physical, tough guys like Xavier McDaniel. You had physical guys that were tough, that no nonsense, man, that played their roles, that banged down low. Joel Embiid, he would not be able to last with those guys. He wouldn't be able to make it. And it's not just a mental thing for a lot of these guys, which I always tell you, a lot of it is mental with them. But for someone like Joel Embiid specifically, it is physically, this man's body cannot take it. It just breaks down. I mean, look at him. Every other week, every other month, every season, it's some weird injury, some odd thing that happens to him, some freak thing. I've told you guys in the past about the NBA players. These guys don't know how to break their own falls. They don't even know how to fall down. Part of sports, right, is breaking your fall oftentimes. If you think about some of these sports, you're going to fall down. You think about football, you're going to fall oftentimes. So sometimes falling a certain way will help you, right? You see some of these guys, the way they fall awkwardly. They break their elbow, they break their wrist, they dislocate their shoulder, right? Something like that. You think about some of these NBA guys. Look at the way these guys are stumbling and bumbling out there. They go for a dunk, these guys come down awkwardly. They don't know how to land. It's so weird to me that athletes at this level don't know how to land athletically. And some of the reason is because these guys are trying to flail and flop and draw fouls. So they put themselves in a compromised position in the air and then landing wise. This happens all the time. You see them, these guys, they do this crazy stuff. So when they fall down, it's awkward now. They get hurt. And this is Joel Embiid. He does not know how to fall down. How many times have you saw Joel Embiid's on the floor more than Allen Iverson was? And at least Allen Iverson knew how to fall. The man actually used the fall, right, as part of his game. Allen Iverson falling down was part of his game. He would get knocked down. He's going in there amongst the trees. They put him on his butt. He played in the physical era. He would pop back up. That was part of Allen Iverson's toughness, man. That was part of his grit. That was part of him. That's what made him so tough, right? Going in there with the big guys at that size, 180 pounds, soaking wet, at barely 6 feet tall. Meanwhile, Joel Embiid is 7'2", damn near 300 pounds. And this man's on the floor left and right. And more the same for Joel Embiid. He goes down yesterday with, like I said, some random injury, getting hit in the face. I didn't see the play, but he got hit in the face, I guess. Again, once again, how many times has this man been hit in the face when he plays? I don't understand what's going on here. I don't know what he's doing. Get your head, your face out of the way. Never in my life. I've been playing basketball my whole life, basically, man. Since I was like 8 years old. You're playing in the streets. You're playing organized. You're playing here. You're playing there. I've never been hit in my face this many times, man. And I'm small. I'm 5'9", man. I'm down there with people's arms flying around and stuff like that. Joel Embiid is bigger than everybody else, damn near every single night he steps on the court. But somehow you keep getting hands in your face. And you think that this man would make it in the 80s or the 90s with elbows flying everywhere? Imagine Joel Embiid getting hit with a Rick Mahorn elbow or a Bill Laimbeer elbow, a Dennis Rodman elbow, a Karl Malone elbow, a Charles Barkley elbow, a Patrick Ewing elbow, a Charles Oakley elbow, an Anthony Mason elbow, an Xavier McDaniel elbow, a Shaquille O'Neal elbow. What if he would have gotten hit by one of these guys? Not intentionally, just the way the game was played back then. It was a physical game. What would have happened back then? Joel Embiid would have crumbled to the floor, and that would have been the end of his career, man. The end of the career. Because essentially, this is what we're watching. We're watching the end of Joel Embiid. This guy's done. He needs to retire and hang it up. He's never going to be an all-time great. He's never going to be on that level. When you're at this point of your career and you can't play back-to-back games, you can't even play on the court for 60, 70, 80 games a season, this man never plays. And every time that you do finally get out there, you get hurt. Every time he steps on the court, Joel Embiid gets hurt. Whether he missed a game for it or not is irrelevant, but he's always hurt. Every game is something with this guy. Every game. Every single game. So essentially, Joel Embiid is become more fragile than Mr. Glass, Mr. Street Clothes, Anthony Davis. You remember they used to make fun of Anthony Davis all the time, those first couple years in LA. They were mocking Anthony Davis because he had a history, right, of missing games, of being out, right, for the slightest things. It would be a slight tweak of his ankle, Anthony Davis out a week. Well, this is Joel Embiid now. Joel Embiid is going down left and right with these injuries. Always something. His body is frail. He just doesn't have it. Physically, there's something wrong with his bones. His body is just not built like that, man. When I talk about grit and I talk about toughness on this channel, it has nothing to do about your fighting ability. Oh, man, this guy could beat up 10 guys at once. That's not what being tough means. That means you're a good fighter. You're good at fighting, man, right? That doesn't necessarily make you tough. You could be good at fighting, but can't take a punch for worth a damn. So you better be good at fighting because if you get hit, you're going to be knocked out. Right, so it ain't the same thing. Let's understand that when I talk about toughness and grit. What I'm alluding to and what I'm talking about is the ability for you to take stuff and keep going. That's what toughness is. That's what grit is. That's what mental fortitude is. Because every single day in our lives, things are being thrown at us. Right, problems are happening, trials and tribulations. We're all going through things, guys. Life is hard sometimes, man. And for some of us, it's harder than others. But the toughness that we had, that ability for us to take all that's coming at us, things are on your back. It's weighing you down. It's beating you down. But you're still able to wake up every morning and be positive and put your best foot forward and try to make a difference. Try to make a change. Right? That's what toughness is. That's what having grit is. To keep pushing through this stuff, not letting it hold you back or inhibit you, but to keep going. That's what these guys did back in the day. They had heart. They had grit. So yes, they may have tweaked their ankle. They may have sprained their wrist. They may have dislocated their finger. They might be feeling ill. They might be having some problems with their wife or their kids or their mom or their dad. Someone's sick. Someone's this. Someone's whatever. They're dealing with all these things the same. Right? You think about some of the guys from the 50s and the 60s, they're dealing with racism. They're dealing with true, real hatred out there. But yet and still, these guys were professionals. You think about some of the guys from the 40s and the 50s. I've told you, some of these guys, like a Paul Arizin, who's an all-time great, doesn't get mentioned anymore. Paul Arizin fought in the Korean War, guys. So he gave up 2 years of his NBA career in his prime and fought in the Korean War. He was in the Marines. But people don't talk about this stuff. These guys, could you imagine one of these guys today having to go fight a war in the middle of their careers? It's a joke. It's laughable. They're not real men. Those are real men. But what do they say today? Oh, they're just plumbers and taxi cab drivers. Those guys were nobodies. They were nothing. Those are real men. Those guys made sacrifices, man. They had real responsibilities to deal with real things, real problems. But they were tough. They had heart and grit. So they were able to push through these things, and they were able to not let these things inhibit them. And they didn't use as a crutch. They didn't use as an excuse. They didn't play the victim. Everyone today's a victim. Those guys back in the day could have easily played the victim. You're telling me that Bill Russell couldn't have played the victim all those years? Will Chamberlain couldn't have played the victim? And all that racism and all that hatred going on around them, the way that Will Chamberlain wasn't allowed to play the game, he could have played the victim, man, many, many years. He could have quit. But what do they do now? They just tear these guys down, and someone like Joel Embiid, he would not last a year, one season playing under those conditions. He couldn't have played in the 60s against Will Chamberlain and Bill Russell. You think he would have been able to handle that? He wouldn't have been able to go against that kind of physical defense where guys were allowed to really beat on you on the defensive end. He wouldn't have been able to play in those crummy conditions, on those crummy courts, in those bad sneakers, right? In the bad lighting, guys smoking cigars in the arena. Think about that. They were allowed to smoke in the arenas where guys were playing a professional sport. Would that be good for you? You think these guys would be crying about asthma? They'd have to get their inhalers. They wouldn't be able to do this stuff. My eyes are burning from the smoke. They wouldn't be able to handle it, man. And Joel Embiid is down again because Joel Embiid is soft. He continues to be soft. He'll always be soft because he's mentally soft. And now we see his body is just not built for basketball. So whatever he was doing in Cameroon, he needs to go back to Cameroon and continue to do those things, man. Go hunt some lions and stuff, man, or whatever you were doing. That maybe I wrestle lions in Africa. Dude, you got to be kidding me, man. You couldn't even wrestle a poodle. You couldn't wrestle a Shih Tzu. You couldn't wrestle a damn thing, man. You're weak. Joel Embiid's the kind of guy, when you hear that term, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. That's Joel Embiid, guys. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Joel Embiid is just a weak individual. His body is just physically not there. Like I said, he should have been drinking milk all these years, and maybe he's too big for himself. His size is not conducive, man. He just don't have it. And he's done. He's out again. And who knows what he'll do. But even when he's on the court, he's not doing anything. He's not doing anything. And what do they say? Oh, Joel Embiid needs more time to get himself back into shape. He needs more time to do X, Y, Z. He needs more time. How much time does he need? The dude's always been out. He's been on all this time. There's no time on the court. You guys know the deal, man. Joel Embiid, don't respect him. Always crying and moaning. He's an emotional mess. But the guy's never out there on the court, man. He got no heart, no grit, man. But then he'll make excuses. Oh, I played at this time. I played when this was going on. Dude, stop acting as if you did the favors or you're doing somebody a favor by playing. You're supposed to be playing. You're supposed to be playing every single game. Every game. These guys today want a doggy biscuit for playing 60 games or for playing 65 games. They think because they played the minimum, they're doing something. You ain't doing nothing, man. You're supposed to be out there every damn night because you're getting paid to go out there every damn night your team has a game. You're getting paid to go to practice. You're getting paid to be a leader. These guys get the max money, right, because of their skills, right? Because of their overall games. They're supposed to be the leaders of the team. They're supposed to be the best player of the team, but no one wants to live up to that hype. Nobody wants that responsibility. They want the money and the fame, but they don't want no responsibility of being the best player in the team or the highest paid player in the team, being the face of the franchise. They don't want that responsibility. And Joel Embiid's a clown, man, for always making excuses, for crying and moaning to the Philadelphia fans as if they're not treating him fairly or he's not being treated fairly. You're an absolute joke, man. You're getting paid all this money to play, but you're always hurt. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Embiid, man. Again. Still soft. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.